Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. So it's heat number 2 of my fountain pen tournament for late in 2024. Another 3 pens. At the end of this video, I'll open it up to you to pick the winning pen that will go forward to the semi-finals. So today's pens, we've got a Jinhao 250. We've got a Majohn P136. And we've got the Kaigelu 316. So 3 Chinese pens. Heats 1, 2 and 3, they're all Chinese pens. Let's start by taking a walk through the bodies. I'm not going to do a detailed walk through the bodies. If you want to see that, I do have other videos on my channel looking at these pens. What we're going to do really is just look at differences and similarities. First big difference you can see visually, all 3 of them look very different. Different colours, different shapes, different styles. I do like the clip here on the Jinhao. We've got some little bit of decoration there. Then we've got more of a standard clip there on the Majohn. And here on the Kaigelu, that clip, it's tapering down. The caps, let's just turn these around. The clips, all of them, that one moves. That one just about moves. And this one is a lot more springy. So got a little bit of difference there. How do the caps come off? Well, on the Jinhao, it pulls off. On the P136, we go half, 1, about 1 1/4 turns. And on the Kaigelu, we go half, 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3 turns. So the Kaigelu, a lot of turns to take that cap off. The Jinhao 250, cartridge converter, there you go. Metal fittings in there. With the Majohn, this is a piston filling pen. And not sure if it'll come over on the camera. Let me try and get this into the focus point for you. You see here these little tiny windows, so that's where you can actually try and view your ink level. I really struggle with it. And with the Kaigelu, again, we've got a cartridge converter. Pop that back. Let's take a closer look at the nibs. The Jinhao 250, standard Jinhao nib really, 2 tones, so we've got a gold coloured border. Inside that, we've got a nice decorative border. Underneath the breather hole, we've got the Jinhao logo, the word Jinhao, and F. This is a fine nib. With the Moonman, again, fairly standard Moonman nib. All one colour, all the silver colour. Quite nice though, so again, we've got a nice decorative border. Underneath the breather hole, we've got the word Moonman. We've got the logo, and then again, we've got their F. Another fine nib. Finally, with the Kaigelu, another 2-tone nib. I quite like this. To me, it's the most attractive of the 3 nibs. It's got a little bit of a steel border. Then we've got some gold. Underneath the breather hole, in gold, we've got the kangaroo. Below that, we've got Kaigelu. And then below that, we've got M. It's a medium nib. Let's swap on over and we'll do some size comparisons. I've brought in my standard size comparisons, the Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari. When we look at this, the P136 from Majohn is longer, only just beating that Jinhao 250. Then we have the Kaigelu. Compared to my comparisons, I would say the Lamy is just a little bit shorter. Just line that cap up there. Just a little tiny bit shorter than the 250, a little bit longer than we see there with the Kaigelu. With the Metropolitan, that's the smallest of these. Let's just pop the caps off. With the caps off, the Metropolitan and the Jinhao 250, their nibs look very similar, don't they, in terms of size. Then we've got on the Kaigelu and the Majohn, we've got a number 6 nib. Then we've got that Lamy style nib there on the Safari. Let's get these out of the way and we'll fetch in the rule of measuring. Here we've got the rule of measuring. We're going to start with the Jinhao 250. So the full pen is 14 centimetres. Unposted, that comes in at 12.1 centimetres. Posted, it doesn't really post. It just slides straight off. So I don't have a measurement for posting. The width of the body at its widest part is 1.3 centimetres. The cap, 1.35 centimetres. And the section, it goes from 0.88 up to 1.09 centimetres. In the hand, this is a nice fit. Section, we've just seen the measurements, does feel a little bit on that thin side, but lengthwise, not too bad. We'll look at the weights in a minute. With the Majohn P136, the full pen, 14.6 centimetres. Unposted, that comes in at 12.6. Posted, again, doesn't really post. The width of the body, I can avoid knocking the rule, that comes in at 1.33 centimetres. The width of the cap, that comes in at 1.52 centimetres. And I've just managed to spill ink all over my rule. Just quickly mop that up. I don't know, clumsy Gary at it again. The width of the section, 1.1 up to 1.13, so not a big change in that. In the hand, this is a nice feel. It's got that nice length. It's got that nice wide section. Really feels nice to hold. With it being a piston filler, I say there's that piston window. And as we've already seen, it doesn't post. Finally, we've got the Kaigelu 316. So let me just lay this down. So the length of the pen with the cap on, 13.7 centimetres. Unposted, 12.7 centimetres. Posted, it does post only a little bit on the end, but you could say it posts. That comes in at 17.7 centimetres. The width of the body at its widest part, that comes in at 1.3 centimetres. The cap, 1.46. And the section, that goes from 1 centimetre up to 1.13 centimetres. So again, a nice wide section. In the hand, again, it's got a nice length. Don't need to post this at all. Section is nice. That difference in width is noticeable, and I think it's quite enjoyable. And I think that's quite nice. At the bottom here, you can see we've got a little bit of a lip. I hold my pens down near the bottom, so I can feel when I'm near the bottom of the section. Let's get this out of the way and fetch in the scales of weighing. Here we've got the scales of weighing. Start with that Jinhao 250 again. Full pen, 38 grams. Body alone, now remember we do have some ink, 25 grams. And 13 grams there for the cap. The P136, 27 grams, noticeably lighter. 17 grams for the body, 11 grams there for the cap. And then for the Kaigelu 316, 41 grams, noticeably heavier. It's the heaviest of the 3 pens. The body, 26 grams. The body there is nearly as heavy as the entire of that P136. The cap, 15 grams. Let's get this out of the way and we'll fetch in the notepad of testing. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. Here we've got the notepad of testing. This is an endless recorder notepad with 68 GSM Tomoe River paper, and it's the old Tomoe River paper. We're going to start with the Jinhao. So we've got here a Jinhao 250 with a fine nib. The cost for this is a whopping $8 Aussie. The ink is by Diamine, and it's Weeping Willow. I do like the look of this ink. We'll do our Wasky Squirrel grid. So going up and down. Seems to take ages to fill this in. Side to side. Then our hashes and diagonal lines. Drying times, so we've got immediate, 10 seconds. Quite wet looking, isn't it? 30 seconds. One minute. Wow, look at that. That's still wet after a minute. I'm not going to do a 2-minute test, but this looks like a really wet combo. I'll come back after we've looked at the other two pens and then write the sentence. So next up, we've got the Majohn P136. So we've got here Majohn P136. Again, as I've said, it's a fine nib. We do take a bit of a price hike. We're up to 37 Aussie dollars here. The ink is by Diamine, and it's a Storm. Let's do our grid. This nib feels a lot stiffer than that 250 did. Although it does seem to be filling the squares a little bit quicker. Drying times is immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Still smudging it a little bit. 1 minute. After a minute, teeniest tiniest bit of a smudge, so near enough I would call that dry. Quite a nice combo. I like the ink in here. I'm not sure if you can see it. There is. You can see where I've done the lines. There's a little bit of gold there. I mean, yep, that's coming through. So we've got a little bit of gold, shimmer or chameleon. I can never remember if it's shimmer or chameleon. They're both very similar though, aren't they? So that's starting to come through. Looks quite nice, doesn't it? Up next, we've got the Kaigelu 316. So here we go with the Kaigelu 316 with a medium nib. I always find Kaigelu nibs are fairly wet writers. The price for this, we're looking about 28 Aussie dollars. The ink by Diamine. I'll go on to the next line there. Diamine. And it's Alpine. This is another shimmer or chameleon ink. Let's do our grid. See what we get in here. Yeah, look at that. Nice smooth nib, lovely tactileness to it. Squares. Bit of glassiness to the nib as well. Drying times, there's immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. After a minute, that one still very wet, so another really wet combo. All three combos today seem to have quite a lot of wetness to them. Looking at this, I'm just going to lift this up. Look at that gorgeous, I think it's actually chameleon rather than shimmer. Hopefully my camera's catching this to my eye. Wow, there's just tons of that beautiful silver coming through with the green. They really complement each other really, really well. I hope the camera's catching some of this. I'm just trying to get different angles. It's very hard to show on the camera. I see loads to my eye though. Just going to move this page up. What I'm going to do now is, with each pen in the same order, I'm going to write a sentence. Whilst I'm writing the sentence, I'm going to move the mic down to the page so you can hear the nib writing. We start with the Jinhao 250. The nib there feels stiff, not as stiff as the P136, but we'll check that in a second. There's a nice tactileness to it. There's nice audible feedback. It's like a really loud whisper is the best way I can describe it. Next up, we've got the P136. Yeah, that nib definitely stiffer. You can feel that as you're writing. The audible nature to me seems a little bit higher in tone than what I was getting from the Jinhao. Hopefully again that was captured on the mic. So finally, just agitating it to get that gorgeous silver there into suspension, we've got the Kaigelu. Again there we've got like this lovely whispery audible feedback. The nib feels softer. It doesn't feel spongy, but it feels softer than the other two. And it seems to feel like it's flowing over the paper a lot easier. Looking at the three sentences, which is why I'm doing it at the end, you can see here the difference in line width. Yes, we've got a medium nib. To me, this quite often looks more like a broad. Then we've got these two really nice fine lines. I would say, looking at these, the Majohn is maybe a slightly finer line than I'm seeing with that Jinhao 250. What are my thoughts on these pens? So we've got three very nice pens here. Three very different pens. We've got the cheap pen at $8. We've got the two middling pens, you know, what is it, $37 and $28. All three of them really good value. A piston filling pen for $37, really good value. We've got the Kaigelu. It's that duofold style look. Again, really nice and really good value. And we've got that $8 Jinhao 250, nice weighty pen, feels good in the hand, writes well. $8, did I mention that? So three pens, three very different pens. They all write nice. My preference is for broad nibs, so in that respect, I do like the way that the Kaigelu writes over the other two, but given the other two are fine nibs, they're perfectly good. I wanted to say perfectly fine, but then you've got a fine nib. It's a little bit odd then, doesn't it? So yeah, enjoy all three of them. All three of them I have inked up from time to time and enjoy them all. So they're my thoughts, but now it's over to you. Head on over to my YouTube community page. There you'll find a poll for these three pens, so you can pick the pen that you prefer. You can pick the pen you want to win. Then on my YouTube live next Sunday, I'll announce the winning pen, and that will go forward into the semi-final. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on these pens? Remember, do vote. You've got to vote on the community page, but I'd love to get your thoughts on these as well. Please hit that thumbs up button every time you like. Every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.